Hello everyone and welcome to BG5 Live. And no, I'm not Karen. And yes, I am Linda from the Netherlands. And I'm doing this for the really first time. So please, I hope you enjoy and please support me. We are in episode 132. And fortunately, we have in the background personal power to support all of us, but also our beautiful, wonderful panel. And I really would like to introduce them to you. So Anna.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. And yes, we're all behind Linda today on her first episode.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we also have Shelley with us. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here and happy to be supporting Linda with her first episode of BG5 Live all by herself. It's wonderful. We know she'll do great.
Thank you so much. So for me, it feels more like a trial and error day, but we are in quality too. So we are going to take a look at what this all means when we are going to take a look at the momentum of personal power. So let me see if everything works. Here we go. So we have a really new, beautiful feature because you can subscribe to the trade of the day. So visit our website if you don't want to miss out anything. And then every day in your inbox, you will have the influence of the day. So that's really helpful and beneficial. You can also watch our past episodes in our free resource library, and you can also search on the traits if you want to learn more. So then we are going to take a look at November. And November is all about an alertness to our own self-expression, and it's allowing us to break through to our own power and focus. And we are now in the midst of the power, and next week we will see focus coming in. So we started with alertness in the 44. It's all about noticing the talents of others, being the personnel manager. We also have taken a look at creative self-expression. It's all about expressing your uniqueness. And also breakthrough the insights in a pulse. Listen to your own inner voice. Also power skills. Last week, position in great measure. It was the fuel to empower. It's all really individual here. And also today, it's all about personal power, the power of the great. It sounds really wonderful, so I'm really curious. I don't have it myself to discover everything about this. And it's pure, unconditional power. And next week, with the ending of BG5 or this November month, we are going to take a look at the kind of opposite, taming the power of the small, the energy for detail. So we have this month, it's all about purpose fulfilled through transformation. And what immediately catches my eye is what we can see here in this image is that we have the 34, the 20, 2 times we have it in the core essence, grounding and balance, and in our future and past direction. So there is a lot of energy. I don't know if our panel wants to share something about this or not. It's also fine, but it's catching my eye.
I'll say something.
Yes.
This is a fuel. It's an energy, a really strong energy. Not a fuel, a vitality. This is a generator or a builder strength. So there's a lot of, when we talk about power is energy and vitality. So think of it as life force moving, needing to do something.
Wonderful. Yeah. And Shelley.
Actually, Charmaine, who's also here, I noticed in the room with us today, covered this in this week. We had in the cycles class, and it was really interesting to see this showing up both in our, the core essence and grounding and balance, and the environment that we're in, the past and future direction, making that really quite a strong impact for us all at this time. And I know that we've said the past and future direction will be here until January. I'm finding this trait, this strength, really interesting, that the longer we're in this time frame with it, the longer that it's around, the more it's starting to impact or almost irritate me. I'm starting to really notice that, wow, I feel like I'm really being pushed to find my own personal power, or that it's, and I was looking up a little bit about quality too. It can be a confusing time to be like with the two as the natural. You don't actually know that you've got it. It's one of those things that has to be called out. And so there's a bit of confusion comes with that, because you're not even aware that this is happening. And when I was reading that today, I realized, well, that's how I've been feeling lately, actually, is that I know there's things that I want to do, and I can feel this personal power kind of rattling around, but I'm confused about where to put my energies. So, and I wanted to just invite Charmaine, if she was interested in adding on to it, just from she did a wonderful job in our cycles class this week, kind of talking about this. So I don't know, Charmaine, if you're interested in sharing a bit of how that was for you, doing the weather report, looking at these traits.
That would be really wonderful. I don't know, are we able to make her co-host, or do I have to do that?
To talk? There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
great. Thanks, Charmaine.
Oh, hi everyone. Gosh, thanks, Shelley. I wasn't expecting. Slightly thrown me. But yes, this has been a really interesting. It was very interesting for me to research, because obviously I was researching it ahead of time. So, I had a good opportunity to look at all of the aspects. And what interests me today is I've noticed, first, I don't know why I thought this, but I assumed that the line for the future and past direction would also move forward. So yesterday it was the first line and the second line, and today it's both the second line, and that's taking me by surprise, actually. So I'm just really interested, because that's going to be an even sort of more concentrated energy. But I've just been very fascinated by this. I was saying last night on when I was doing the weather report in class, that I've been drawn to, I'm always looking at people's charts, and I've just noticed recently that all the charts that I've been looking at have been very lots of people who seem to really have come into their own in terms of charisma and presence, and getting out there and doing stuff. And the two that sprang to mind were Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Looking at their careers this year, they've, certainly recently in the last 2-3 months, they've had profound successes. So I could just be reading into things, but I sort of watch trends, and I do my 5-1 thing. But the only other thing I really wanted to mention was, I also found it interesting about the prevalence of the individual, the singleness of all of these energies, apart from 2, which now escape me because I'm on the spot and I can't remember which ones they were. I think it was help me.
Yeah, the 54 and 19, I think we were looking at in class. Yeah. And it
Yeah,
looks
they're
like
tribal, or
yeah.
they're collective. So
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, but
Yeah.
thank you for asking me, Shelley, and I'm just really interested to hear everybody else's take on this design or this this chart.
That's awesome.
And do you have trait 34 yourself, Charmaine?
No, I have an interesting chart in that I'm an innovator, and I have I have independent, independent, and I have I am emotionally. I've got emotional intelligence, and I have communication. I have sorry, again, I'm on the spot. I've got the two the two head centers. Sorry, Karen will beat me for that. And I have nothing else. And also on the left-hand side of my chart, I have absolutely nothing. So there is nothing to the left, no traits, no strengths, nothing. And I'm an interesting, the only other person I've seen with a chart similar to that is Richard Beaumont, who actually has the same thing but to the right. So his emotional intelligence is completely open, and my the left-hand side of my chart is completely open. Exactly. So I am very, very affected by stuff, especially like this when it hangs around for a long time, because it really starts to push my buttons. And I have a lot of definition in my communication function. I've got a lot going on there. So it's just interesting to sort of have these little nuances being triggered by the 20, which I've noticed. But thank you for asking.
Yes, yeah, but because maybe we will also ask if other people that are attending do have the 34, but otherwise, when we are going to discuss this trait, I would love to hear you share. I'm going to inform you about that right now, that we would love to hear the impact of this definition. Because you are an innovator, and this is really builder power. So hang in there, we will get there. But if you would like to inform us about how that works, also please initiate. So, and for other people who are listening, we were just talking about the cycles class. That's an advanced certification course that's really, really interesting, because then you are going to really dive into all kinds of cycles. So we are going to move forward because we also have our current environment. And just as we mentioned just right now, is that we also have in our environment, in our past and future direction, personal power and momentum. So I'm going to skip it here a little bit because we're going to discuss it later on. But also we also have the dogmatist in contemplation. So that's we already have it for a while, and we will be stuck with it for a while. So it's really about individuality and finding also your own truth, I feel like. So it's really amazing. So let's head on and dive into today's theme. Here we go. So here we have trait 34 of personal power. I love the image because it really feels like, woohoo, I have everything it takes to survive and to do the things you want to do. And that's also what it's all about. It's about pure unconditional power that is only great when its display or use serves the common good. It's the power of the great. It's also the moment that power is identified with awareness. It is turned into deeds. It is part of the only pure express builder strength, and that's also currently active in the grounding and balance. It's trait 20, and the 3420 makes up the strength of charisma, and that's the pure express builder strength. So this power can be focused on social behaviors or roles that support your strong convictions And then the 34 is connected to trait 10, or on your ability to act on your own behalf in order to manifest and thrive. And then it's connected to trait 20. Then we have that pure express builder strength. And also it can be connected to your intuition, which can empower you to survive perfectly in each moment. And that should have been trait 57. So we have a little bit of Karen here with us. Trial and error, third line. Yes. Also, it's about this relentless power to act may become an unhealthy, meddlesome, and misdirected energy. It's really, really powerful. And though admired and even sought after, this energy is personal and simply not available to others. That's why it's called personal power. And it must remain pure in its power. So panel, what are your thoughts on that? Because we all three don't have this trait in our design, but I love to hear your observations and your contemplations.
I have a couple of comments. I have a number of people in my life. I have open energy resource, sacral energy. So I don't have a 34, but I have a number of people in my life, and I'm an innovator. So I have a bunch of people that are 2034, which is the, it has manifesting power. So I've noticed with these folks, one is my daughter, and some of these people are very close to me. So I've noticed this energy a lot in my life. And it wasn't until I discovered, human design and BG5 that I understood what was going on. But there's this, my daughter has it unconscious. And when she was little, she was just this powerhouse, totally undirected, totally, and it turned negative. It became misdirected and unhealthy for her in certain circumstances. And as an example, she was 3 or 4 at the time, and it was nap time. And she was just so full of energy, and she was not tired, and she would never sleep. Naps were just not going to happen. So there was one particular day she was so wound up, and I was trying to get her to sleep. Well, all of a sudden she bounds out of bed, opens the front door, and starts running down the street faster than I could catch up with her. I was so freaked out because I didn't know if she was going to run into the street or whatever. But finally, it was like a block and a half. This little tiny person full of energy was just running. And I didn't understand at the time, took me a while to figure it out. And then when I saw her chart, I realized this was just manic pure power. And she wasn't destructive. She just needed to apply this power somehow. And even when she got home, she wasn't tired, but I was exhausted. That was the effect it had on me. Anyway, that's just an example.
Wonderful. And for you, Shelley?
That's so fun listening to you talk about your kids, Anna, too, because I also have, both of our sons have the 34, either 3457 or 3410. And my daughter is an advisor, or not an advisor, yes, an advisor. And she doesn't have this, but her husband also has the 3457. And it's so funny that you talk about that, because she would do the same thing. I had trouble helping her get to sleep at night too, because she was surrounded by both of her brothers, and a lot of their friends had this internal superpower. They were on the go constantly, run, run, run. Well, she was like that Energizer bunny on steroids, because she just picked up and amplified it from all around her. So I didn't have the problem with her running out of the house, but I had trouble helping, couldn't understand why she had such a hard time getting to sleep at night, not being able to discharge that energy she'd picked up and amplified from everyone around her. And what's really interesting is her husband has that, and both of my sons have married women who also have the 34 in some connection, either to the 20 or the 10 or the 57. So we have this throughout our family, and neither my husband or I have this at all. And for us, the way I experienced it with our kids growing up is, at least my husband and I are builders, so we had the same kind of energy going on as our boys, and we were very busy, athletic sports family, running from one thing to the next. And I have to say, this strength showed up in both of our sons as what we thought of as being what was the word? Just sort of really, I've lost the word. Just being really, oh my gosh.
It's a hermit day. I know.
Yeah, my brain's gone blank. Anyways, just really strong strength. And they would often, they knew exactly what they wanted to do and when they needed to do it. And this personal power, personal strength would come across at times as being sort of rebellious or stubborn. Stubborn is the word I was trying to go for. Stubborn. Like they knew, they had their own convictions and they knew what they needed to do, and we couldn't push them off of them most of the time. So we had to learn how to be curious about what it is they were being stubborn about, instead of trying to fight against them. We just learned how to get curious about what that's about. Why are you sticking your heels in so deeply here? And letting go anything that wasn't worth really fighting over, because we could tell they had this strength. And they were great kids. We never had any trouble really raising them or anything. They, as all kids do, they give you some fun, interesting, adventurous times through life. But that internal conviction, they've all got it. They're very strong in their beliefs and their convictions, and they know what they want, and they know how they want to live their life, and they go for it. So it's been really wonderful to understand their designs and see where this has all come from, and the light bulbs come on then when you realize, wow, no wonder we were so busy. These guys were going like crazy all the time. So with all that personal
Oh,
power.
I had to laugh so loud, Shelley, because I have married a husband with a 34, 57. And what he does is that he is just doing his own thing. And then he says, oh, do you think I have to do this or that? And I said, well, I don't think so. He says, yeah, but, and then he's just going to do it. And every time I say to him, why do you ask me that? Because you are just going your own way with your personal power. And I feel like, oh my goodness. But the other way is what I really love is that I know I can follow him in the most difficult situations. I feel like, okay, you take the lead and I am going to follow you, because you know exactly, because it's with him, it's connected to the 57. So his intuition is really strong. So he knows exactly when things are not safe. And then he knows, okay, we have to move to another place, or we have to leave here, or we don't need to do this. It's not safe. So I can follow him really blindly, because I normally I don't follow him that much, because I have the 31/7 of the alpha. So, but in those kind of situations, I say, okay, I follow your lead. But it's amazing.
That's awesome. That's so funny. And you just reminded me too, I had a couple of clients that I've coached over the last year through the profit potential and just through their design. And I don't know if I just attract this, but all of them that I coached through the Profit Potential had some part of this circuitry. Had one fellow with the 3420 and the 10, and the other one has a 3457. And one of the things I noticed early on in coaching them was none of them were really aware of this personal power. They weren't really utilizing it properly. They weren't in, and so one of the things I coached them with was being sure to give themselves that time every day or in whatever routine they needed to take time for themselves, and to, because this power is only for the individual. You can't give it away if you tried. And what happens, and what was happening for them, was they were ignoring their own need to take time to themselves to be physical or build that strength or use that personal power in positive ways. And when they weren't taking care of themselves and utilizing it for themselves, they're trying to give it away, trying to use it, and it's actually just creating resistance all around them, and they end up having blow-ups with their family and friends, and or just because they haven't had the ability to release this power, this energy in a physical way. It builds, and then they were exploding on their families. And since they have learned how to set aside time for themselves and take that time on a regular basis to keep themselves connected to this personal power and utilize it correctly, things have settled down for them all around. So that was just something I wanted to mention, because that's kind of an unhealthy expression of it. If you're not utilizing it for yourself, it ends up making a mess around you. So yeah, just something I thought I'd add.
I'd like to follow up on that, Shelley. That's a great point. Because in the family members that I know that have the 2034, and I have the 57. So that's a very interesting combination. But I've noticed over the years, this energy really is not available to other people. And other people often want it and try to use it, try to get it from them, demand their attention, or demand them in subtle ways, not always real dramatic ways, but sometimes, just like you said, through fights or energy, the energy is very strong. And so the static gets really dramatic sometimes when it's not focused. Early on in the slides, it was power and focus. And I've just noticed in my commentary, in my way to try to support some of, especially two of them, just to validate this is creative energy for you. Like you said, you cannot even give it away, but you need to be using it. And both of these two people can get completely absorbed in a project or in something creative and use that energy. And I won't hear from them for days. It's like, where are you? Or we were supposed to meet or call or something, and they just got so absorbed in their energy. And then sorry, they'll call or show up or something. But I've learned not to try to use that energy. And like I said, as an open energy resource person, sometimes, excuse me, my phone. Sometimes I would try to be the builder early on before I knew that I wasn't a builder. But I would try to use this energy to get some fuel and, match them. And then I realized, this is not good for me. And, if I let them just go on their little foray into their own creativity, it's fine. It's better for both of us. So anybody that's open, don't try to match their high energy, because you can't. And it'll just distract them, as well as, it's important to validate them, to go ahead do their own thing, and it works better for everybody.
Thank you so much. And Charmaine, also being an innovator, I would love to hear your thoughts about, feeling the effect of the 34.
Yes, well, I like you guys, I also seem to have quite a prevalence of people with this definition in their charts. And what I've noticed, they're not very human design or BG5 aware at all. And I've found it very, very uncomfortable, because I find it a very distracting and very exhausting energy. And I find it very difficult to not get caught up in it if I'm, it's very intense. I find it very intense. So I've noticed over the last while that I've been not avoiding, but I try not to spend long periods of time with them, because it's just as I don't have, I only have emotional intelligence. I don't have anything else that's going to give me any degree of support with it. But when I was researching also for this presentation I did last night, I was looking, somebody who sprang to mind, Russell Brand. I don't know if any of you know him. He's a British comedian, and he has a very, very long, he has this strength, both conscious and unconscious, and he has quite a prolific, he had quite a few problems with addiction, a very, very intense guy, and drugs, sex, everything, just absolutely everything. And he self-destructed to the point where he pretty much lost everything. He was giving all his money away. He just was completely out of control. And now he's kind of completely changed. He started doing transcendental meditation. He does work with David Lynch. He's an advocate for Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's been really interesting to watch how somebody could self-destruct with that amount of intensity. And he was just, women would, he really was a very, I don't get it myself, but he was, quite a Lothario. And now he's married, he's got some children, and it's been a really interesting transition for him. But I just find I have to be really careful, especially being emotionally defined. I have to be careful that I don't get caught up in other people's energy, because it can really damage me. I've had 3 injuries over the past 6 weeks, one of which was actually quite serious, and it was all to do with me just getting very caught up in just this energy that I just couldn't really. It's quite strong, it sometimes it intrigues me how I can have the knowledge, but I can, I still sometimes just get caught up when the energy is so strong, it catches me unawares. So yeah, it's just interesting how we draw people into our lives who kind of have the things that we don't, and it's just how that plays out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Charmaine. And it's really profound what you just shared. And being an innovator, you just take in and amplify, and this is powerful, because you also amplify the personal power of people around you. So you really, you don't have any doors or windows that protect you for that energy. So it can literally blow you away. It can be really, distracting you from your own path and your own decision-making strategy, which is your emotional intelligence. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and your observations about how it can play out if you have things undefined, and you feel the background frequency, but also the energy of people around you. So thank you so much. And we are going to take a look at the next topic, and that is how you get affected when you are connected. So the shadow of trait 34, when you don't have trait 34. So it can mean that you can feel a lack of personal power. So the questions that you are going to ask yourself are, do you feel you lack personal power? Or are you not sure how to use your energy properly, intuitively in the now? So the problem you can face is you lack energy behind your convictions, or you are uncertain how to utilize your energy in the now, or lacking empowerment in your intuitive knowing. Also here you can see the different traits play out, trait 10, 57, or 20. And the solution is you are designed to work with others that can provide the personal power to stand by your convictions, activate charisma, or empower your intuitive knowing. So I know, Anna, you do have trait 57. How does it show up for you?
Well, I love my 57. um, and I always was empowered personally through the 57. I always used it. I always relied on it because I'm open in survival instinct. But it was always something I could absolutely rely on. But in terms of lacking conviction, it was more projected. You know, people wouldn't believe me, or people would doubt me on what I said was going on or felt or whatever. As a young child, they couldn't believe. I remember I was 19 or something, and I was talking with my father and his cousin, and I don't even remember the conversation, but I said something. We were in the kitchen, and they were both doing something with their backs to me, and I was at the table. We were just yakking. And I said something, and they both turned around stunned, and they said, "How did you know that?" And I was surprised. I was like, it took me back. It's like I just know it. I mean, that's just how I am. But I had never voiced it really like that in sort of a public situation. I would always, being a 2-4, I would always sort of do it with my closer people. But it would come out for me as a younger person. That people would be surprised at what I knew when I said something, or that I was absolutely had conviction about my intuitions, and it saved me numerous times.
Wow.
And then when I became more familiar with it, it became a very big part of my career, you know, using it in my work. So it's just interesting to, and like I said, my daughter has a 3420, so we get together, and she's always saying, "Mom, we're on the same wavelength," you know, because I'll say something. She was, "I'm just thinking about that," you know. So we end up, you know, sort of collaborating, even though she's not collaborative. It feels like that, you know. We get on the same theme. So in terms of, you know, the problem, the energy, you know, it wasn't that it wasn't there, it's that it wasn't, I didn't put it in a social context until I felt much more mature.
Wonderful, really wonderful. And just to give a little side note about myself, I have the 5720 myself, so I'm making some connections there. But what I can sense as a problem, and because my husband has the 34, I can envy people that are so self-conscious. So, okay, I'm going to travel to Australia and I'm going to be there 6 months on my own. And I feel like you are going to be there on your own for 6 months. I feel like I'm a scared chicken or something. I feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to survive that. I'm not going to make it. And I really envy those people, and also my husband, that's just with full of confidence. He is just doing his thing. And yes, he cannot share it. So I cannot get something out of it. He is just for him only. So I'm just following him sometimes wherever he goes. But it's really, you can feel like, oh, I'm missing kind of, power, a kind of self-consciousness and reliance on, well, I'm just going to make it because I have that power. So that's what I also wanted to share. I don't know, Shelley, if you would like to share, because you don't have the 57 or the 20 or the 10, what I
Yeah,
saw.
I don't have any of this circuitry, but just listening to you and listening to some of what Charmaine was talking about, I recognize that earlier on in my life, I've I've always been an extremely sensitive person. I do have the 44 and my survival instincts defined. So I have some sense of what's going on around me and I can pick things up with the 44. Um, but this was I'm starting to understand that a lot of the fear I felt as a young child was because this is also open. It's that I can experience it from other people in many different ways. And often, like Charmaine was saying, it's been really intense and kind of scary to be around this energy, especially when I was quite young. And even like our oldest son is my stepson, and he has this really strong 3457, and it was actually really challenging for me as he was growing into a teenager because it became really overwhelming for me to deal with that. I didn't know what to do with that intense energy. And it would make me nervous. It would make I would start to shake inside almost, and I would have to um, walk away, leave the room, get out of his presence at times. And it's interesting because our my own son also has it, and I've not sensed that same thing with him. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Maybe just because I have known my stepson since he was 2. He was kind of like my child from a very early on age, but um, just just noticing those differences, and just even reflecting back to being a really young child. I was extremely shy as a little kid. I was terrified of people. I was terrified of adults mostly. An adult would walk into the room and I would burst into tears. And so I think now some of it was my sensitivity to feeling this intense power and pressure from people and not knowing what to do with it. I literally would just fall apart. But I mean, I got stronger at that as I went through school and was around it more. But now that I understand it from this whole other place, and the more I've learned how to rely on my emotional decision making strategy, the stronger I feel as a person, in that even though I don't have this personal power, and I can see how that's played out over my life, it's like that lack of confidence that I can really be tuned into these convictions. I find myself, I'm much more flexible and much more open to lots of different ways of thinking about things, or lots of different ways that people see things. And what I notice is when people have this defined, how strongly connected they are to their own convictions, and the fact that they can hold the line on that for forever and never be able to let go of it, where I'm usually trying to loosen them up or open them up a little bit because I can feel all the different ways that things show up. And so the wisdom, I think, that you get to when you get really aligned with your design and feel your own strength from other parts of your design, have allowed me to be more comfortable around this energy, not being thrown off by it so much, recognizing it for what it is, that it's not me, it's them. And I can kind of create a bit of a bubble around myself for protecting myself. Now I do have the energy resource defined too, so I have that a little different than an innovator or an advisor would. So yeah, so I think that's how I recognize it, or how I notice it in life now, with that openness.
I'd like to follow up on that, both what Shelley and Charmaine were sharing. Because when you're open in this area, it's easy for you to absorb this energy, and it can become illness or accidents, or it can affect your body pretty seriously. The other day when we were talking about the background frequency, I was opening a can, and the can opener slipped, and I cut my 2 fingers. And I thought, and I was shaking, and I thought, wow, what is going on? So I looked at, some of the traits that were going on. I thought, oh, I am really responding here to this energy. Not focused, not just sort of going on this raw energy, and it sort of backfired on me, just with a small little accident. But I noticed that it's easy to get physically injured if you don't know how to sort of filter and flow with this energy, or back out of it if it's too much for you.
Wow. Those are beautiful examples of how it can influence you, because everything that is open and wide and undefined in our design can be influenced. So it can really make a huge impact. And what I sense is this is such a powerful trait that, yeah, it really affects you. So thank you so much for sharing. And we also have Yvonne, and she has the 34, 2 times conscious and subconscious, and also trait 10, unconscious. And she's finding out more and more that she really has to go her own way, and that she can trust that everything will be all right anywhere in the world, usually alone. Yes, well, that's what we were talking about. I envy that. Yes. Thank you for sharing, Yvonne. Wonderful. Also, we have today's quality, because we have personal power in quality too, and that's all about momentum and the natural. So the elevation is the power that grows when victory is inside, and the ability, when victory is inside, not to lose perspective. But the challenge can be the power for growth limited by impatience, a tendency to be emotionally carried away by the smell of victory. So I don't know if there are any thoughts about this quality.
Yeah, I can comment. A number of years ago, I was watching the Olympics, and they're different now on TV than they used to be. It used to be a little bit more interesting or select. I don't know. Don't want to go there. But anyway, this particular situation was the first time that women's snowboarding was part of the Olympics, or it was filmed. And you know how they try new sports. So this particular, and it was, this woman was at the very end. She did this, I think her name was Lindsey Vonn. I hope I have that correct. She became quite famous in that sport later. But I was watching her, she did this fabulous run. And at the very last minute, she lost focus and she fell. And the person behind her won the gold medal. She had it in, she was a shoo-in. But at the very, at the finish line, right before the finish line, I can't remember if she threw up her hands or something, and she fell. And she lost the gold medal. And everybody was just like, oh my goodness. And it was, great pain for her. But it's a perfect example of this. She already had it, but she lost that second, the energy overtook her. She lost her focus. So she could smell victory, but it didn't happen because she was just a few seconds early. And I always think about that with this, because the two is, you're very natural at whatever it is you're doing, and in the two, you need to do what's natural to you. If you're not doing what's natural, then it does fail sometimes. I don't know her particular chart, but I just remember that moment, and everybody was just like, oh,
I can't imagine, Anna. Oh, it's devastating. And yes, Charmaine.
Hi, Anna. I'm sorry to be a smarty pants, but skiing's my thing. I live in a ski resort, and it's kind of my passion. And I remember this incident that you're describing. It was Lindsay Jacobellis who did that, and it was absolutely horrifying to watch. I don't have her chart, but I have got Lindsay Vonn's chart, who I'm a very big fan of Lindsay Vonn, and she's a builder. And I was interested in her chart because she's had some incredible injuries that she's come back from. She's retired now, but I'm very interested in looking at charts of sports people, especially people who really, really put themselves, physically on the line. For their sport, and it's just a really interesting. Lindsay Vonn is a master builder, and she's got transpersonal limitation, which is a really interesting an interesting one. But in her chart, she actually has the 34, the 20, and the 10. So yeah, I probably shouldn't go down this rabbit hole, but I do, when a configuration like this stays around for such a long time, I really, really am fascinated by seeing how the people who do have it, how they either crash and burn, or how they really do something remarkable, and that's really interesting to me. I like to build my little database with my 64, 47, 43, 23 going on all of this information, so that I can dig it out at a later date.
Wonderful.
Oh, cool. I would love to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Amazing, really amazing. Well, we could talk for hours, but we are already talking for an hour here already. So let's head to the celebrity of the day. Yes, and the life work theme. So we have Billy Connolly. I don't know him. I don't know if you are familiar with him, but he is a Scottish actor, an artist, and a comedian. And his core essence is 34 in quality 2. And he is also a retired comedian, I can see here, a musician and a presenter. And he is sometimes known, especially in his homeland, by the Scots nickname the Big Yin, or the Big One. And he's known for his idiosyncratic, I don't know if I pronounce it right, and often improvised observational comedy, frequently including strong language, so provoking with his personal power. Connolly is regarded as one of the greatest and most influential stand-up comedians of all time, having topped many polls conducted in the United Kingdom. And his life work theme is Evolve, or the Sleeping Phoenix. So you have great personal power and charisma. Oh, wow, that's wonderful if you are a comedian and an artist and an actor, and are busy attracting others with your busyness. Power and intimacy, when directed by spirit, serves humanity. Wow.
Linda, I'm sorry to
Yes.
dive in here, but
Yes.
I know, you know, I don't know him personally, but I have followed his work for decades. And at the moment, unfortunately, he's very unwell. He's got quite advanced Parkinson's disease.
Oh.
But he is one of the funniest men, and he really does have that charisma. He's married to Pamela Stevenson, who's a very well-renowned psychologist. And this is a really good summary of his skills. I mean, he really is a funny man. I mean, I can't. I have many memories of his comedy over the years. So I'm really thrilled that he was the comedian of the day. Well, sorry, it's not the comedian of the day. The celebrity. Yeah, fabulous man. If you ever get it, if any of you don't know him, and you, he actually, if you remember the film Indecent Proposal with Robert Redford and Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore,
yes.
he played the guy. You know, they were having a celebrity auction at the beginning, and he played the auctioneer when she got auctioned off for $1 million. That was Billy Connolly. That was his foray into Hollywood.
Okay, well, I'm going to look him up, and I feel like I have to know more. Thank you so much for informing us, Charmaine. Wonderful. All right, so if you are really interested in knowing more about your own design, if you want to know if you have the 34, you can download your free chart on the BG5 Business Institute website, and then you can, with your chart, follow all of our BG5 lives to learn more about your design and your personal operating style, because that's what it's all about. And again, if you want to know more of the influence each day, then you can subscribe to our beautiful email that you receive in your inbox about the trait of the day and the influence you may experience each day. And you also can watch past episodes. So that's really wonderful. And if you really want to know more, you can check out our courses and programs, because new classes will be beginning in January. So, well, we are at the end of this episode. I hope you all liked it, and I really want to invite our panel to share some last observations, tips, everything you can take into account with this background frequency. And also, Charmaine, if you would like to also share some words that you would like to share, you are really invited in doing so. So please, maybe you would like to share something.
Thank you for offering, but I think I'm all shared out, actually.
Well, that's also fine. And Anna, what are your thoughts?
What I would recommend, sort of as an overview to observe this week, witness yourself and others, would be about knowing when enough is enough. The sacral energy is very strong, and for people that are open, you might need to just say, oh, I can't do this, or I'm tired, or let your body tell you when to exit this energy field, because it is very strong. It is very intense on your body, but your mind might be rolling along thinking, oh, I should keep up, I should do this, whatever. So just kind of witness that. And for people that have this trait and are defined, go ahead and use this. You know, you have enough energy on purpose. This is for you to use. So that would be my recommendation, is just sort of witness how this works for you in particular.
Wow, thank you so much. And you, Shelley?
Yeah, just adding on to what Anna said, I was thinking something similar. just really paying attention, especially while this is so heightened for us, having it in both places for this week, in both the nodes and in the conscious and conscious quiescence and grounding balance, that I think that's why it's feeling that much stronger for me. Just paying attention for yourself, how this is affecting you, whether you have it completely open or whether you've got it defined. I think each of us can pay attention to our body signals, to knowing when we do need to take time to ourselves to expend this energy for ourselves. I realized that that's probably what happened for me this morning. I had to go out for a walk. I usually don't go until the afternoon, but I missed it yesterday because it was raining. And today it was, no, you need to get outside and spend some of this energy, burn off some of this energy for yourself. And so, yeah, I would echo that, what Anna said, is just really pay attention to how this shows up for you and how it's impacting you physically, because it is a really physical thing.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And I really want to emphasize this as well, because it's so highlighted in the background frequency. And also I want to let you know that there can also be a kind of melancholy be there, because that's also what I noticed myself. Like, there's so much pressure to do things that sometimes you also don't know what to do, feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but also really feeling what kind of things you would like to do. I also feel like there's a sense of feeling your own direction, your own identity, your own, your own path that you are going to walk. And maybe you can also experience that you don't feel like joining groups this moment because you feel so much individuality, so much a push to go your own way. So I really feel, pay attention. Also what Shelley and Anna share beautifully about what's happening in your body, what is your body telling you, and just keep on returning to your decision-making strategy, because that's your truth. No matter what kind of frequency there is, that is your truth. So have a fabulous week, everyone. Thank you for watching. And we are really looking forward to see you all next week. And well, for now, we say bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, Charmaine, for jumping in
Bye.
with us.
Yes, thank you so much, Charmaine. Yeah.
Pleasure. Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.